Welcome to episode 24 of this video. And what I want to do is highlight the insights that I got from last spring's interviews on what happens next. We've been interviewing people on what happens next quite a while now. And the reality is we learn the majority of the stuff that we share on what happens next from our amazing expert guests. And last spring 2024, I'm recording this at the start of spring 2025, I got to interview Emmanuel, Jane and Cliff, and they shared insights that were absolutely fantastic. Cliff shared insights on selling a business and talking about why most businesses don't sell. And this is certainly worth listening to if you're in a position where you own a business and you're thinking about selling. Jane Thomas's work on understanding motivations was fascinating, and why she uses a tool called motivational maps to help her understand a bit more about what drives the individuals and organisations she works with. And there's loads of insight there in terms of thinking about what motivates us as individuals, particularly as we step into the next chapter of our lives. And Emmanuel Escuro, who is a brilliant guy, does loads of work in the community, shared his thoughts on financial independence and determining how much is enough. So, without further ado, let's move on to the insights they shared.
So one trait over the last few years I've tried to encourage myself to be better at is curiosity, learning and growing and developing to be more curious. Often it's weird, as a chartered financial planner, people come to you for answers. But my experience is that actually asking more powerful and pertinent questions, understanding more, gives you two wins. Number one, it enables you to help more, make sure your answers are more tailored to what somebody wants to achieve. But also, you get to learn. You know, I think that all of us have got this opportunity to learn from each other, and asking better questions for me is the key to that. Welcome to the What Happens Next channel if you haven't been here before. My name's Chris Dames. I'm a chartered financial planner, really proud owner of a practice called Cervello, where we help people get really clear on where they are financially and work out what happens next in their lives. However, one of the things that we were really conscious of doing is making sure we had deeper conversations about that crossroads many of us face, so that we can think about the transition we're making in life from, either working full time and running our business to looking at what's next. Often that means selling your business or moving on to what's next, or changing what you do for a living and then thinking about what's next. Because often, even though retirement might be the more conventional way of thinking about what's next, our experience is our clients in their 50s and 60s who we help become financially independent don't always want to move from being a business owner or being a senior executive in a company to nothing. So thinking about some of this sort of stuff and planning for what happens next is a really important step. We've been interviewing experts for a decent amount of time now, and you'll find all of these on the YouTube channel. Before I talk about what I want to talk about in today's video, though, what I would ask you to do is like and subscribe to this channel. Our aim is to continue to share amazing quality content that supports you think about what happens next in your life. And actually, the more that you, for free.
So at the minute, I'm spending a lot of time writing the What Happens Next book. I'm 50,000 words in as I speak to you today, and currently working to make sure that the book adds as much value as we can to people thinking about that next stage in their lives. Now, the book's not ready yet. It won't be out until sometime in 2025. I'm working hard to get it finished. But what you can do is sign up for the book waiting list, so you're one of the first people that gets access. You can simply do that by visiting whathappensnext.life/book. join the waiting list today, and you'll be one of the first person to get access to the book and some extra goodies when it comes out.
Say that we're doing good work by liking and subscribing to this channel so you know when we're delivering more and more good stuff. That helps us massively, so please do that. But today I want to explore, just do a bit of a summary video really, and talk a bit about the experts we've had on what happens next over the spring that I'd suggest that you might want to watch the full videos of. Firstly, I want to talk about Cliff Spolander. So Cliff's a guy I've known for a while, amazing guy who shares what it takes to sell your business. If you're at that point when you're thinking about what to do to your business, Cliff gives really good, clear tips on what you need to do for your business. And it's interesting. Every time I speak to Cliff, I learn something new. And we know the stats for business sales. You know, the statistics are most businesses do not sell. So what Cliff did in his interview is highlight some of the practices we might want to consider now, if we're a couple of years away from selling our business, to make sure our business is as profitable as possible. Certainly, I'd recommend you check out Cliff's video for more information about how you can practically do that. Next up in our spring videos, we had Jane Thomas, and Jane shared the work she does about understanding what motivates and drives us. Jane's an expert in motivational maps. She helps organisations and individuals, primarily in the UK, but also around the world, work out what really, really drives them so they can get to a point where they're living lives full of purpose. Often my experience is that when we're at that transition where we're thinking about what happens next, we need to do an element of self-reflection, an element of know thyself before we can move on to whatever's next in our life. And Jane talks about the way she uses motivational maps as a tool to support people with that self-reflection, with an element of coaching, so they can build a life that really means something to them. Now, if you're curious about what either Cliff or Jane does, you can look at the full interviews, and though the links to those interviews will be on the link below. Our next spring one that was really insightful was from Emmanuel Escudo. Now, you might have seen Emmanuel pop up on your telly box. He does a lot of consumer-focused personal finance content for Channel 4 and other channels. Emmanuel's great at explaining financial concepts in a way where you just get it. And we had a really good conversation, Emmanuel and I, about what it takes to be financially independent, the elements that you want to consider when you're thinking about how much is enough for you financially, how working with a financial planner like Emmanuel or I might help, and the actionable steps you should consider taking when you're thinking about what happens next in your life from a financial perspective. We'll put the link to the full interview in the notes below. So, Cliff's interview can help us really understand how our business fits into our overall plan. And if the plan is to sell our business, think about how to maximize the value whilst we're still in it. Jane talked about what drives and motivates us as humans and the tool that she uses to help you get closer to what motivates you in your life. And Emmanuel talks about some really clear financial steps you can take to work out what financial independence means to you and develop a clear route to get there and achieve it. I think that's massively insightful. Again, if that's been useful and you've watched some of our videos, please do like and subscribe. It really helps. And we'll see you next time on What Happens Next.
Part of the issue we've got when we're thinking about what happens next in our lives is having the self-awareness, having the introspection to be able to think about what the gaps in our well-being are. And we're doing loads of work at the minute with what happens next to build solutions that are going to help you think about well-being in a nuanced way when you're thinking about how it applies to your life. One of the first things we've built that you can use today is our What Happens Next quiz. It's free to do, takes about 5 minutes, but what it will do is give you an insight into the areas of strengths when it comes to your well-being and the areas you might want to improve. You can take the What Happens Next quiz at whathappensnext.life/quiz, and I hope it helps you in your journey to work out what happens next for you.